This is a quick tutorial on how to submit questions for the aging course at Marian College of Medicine. If you go to this link up here, you will have drop downs. There's instructions as you go. So this is just for the aging course. You tag it with what lecture you're giving. If any of these names change as we go, I'll update this on the fly, but you can look at your number. So let's just do an example. You type in your question here, how to do a tutorial, whatever your question is. Your answers, watch this video. You have to put everything that has a star here. These red stars are required. We normally have 5 answers. You could have 4 if that makes more sense, but we like to have 5. And then you could have up to 8, for example, if there were combinations, but that's rarer. What's the correct answer? Should the questions be randomized? It probably would be randomized unless they need to be read in a certain order, in which case you'll just make them alphabetical. All the questions need to have an explanation, whether they be quiz or exam. Need to know how to use a web browser. But this should answer the student's question for why they would get it wrong, why the correct answer is right, and why bad ones are not right. And then we have some tagging that we need. So choose your name here. The Bloom's taxonomy, just these top 3. I'll probably take out these other. Bloom's 1 to 2 is the lowest level of knowledge, 5 to 6 being the hardest. So if it's just rote memorization, it's going to be 1 to 2. If it's combining a lot of information from different things, that would be synthesis. And if it's applying it in a clinical context, that's probably 3 to 4. And then what discipline is that in? I'm just going to choose something randomly here. If it applies to multiple, just choose the most that's applicable. Oh, sorry, that's what biological system. Here you choose the discipline, and you can choose up to 3 disciplines. For example, biochemistry and genetics may overlap. And then this is the most complicated thing. In the aging course, we're mapping everything by objectives. So here you can choose what objective this question is tied to. So I've input a few for a epigenetics lecture. I'll choose one. If you haven't input any objectives yet, you'll have to do that before you put in your first question, and you can click on this link to do that. I'll show you that in a second. And you can tie one question to multiple objectives if need be. This other stuff is optional, but you can tell me how you want that question to be used. Do you think it should be a quiz question or used on the exam? The final would just be the second exam. You can just say exam for aging course. And here's a box that is just notes to me. The student will never see it. For example, if you put in a question and then you change the wording and you want to resubmit it, you might say, use this question, not the one I submitted yesterday, January 2nd at 1 p.m. because I'll see the timestamp of when you submit these. You can predict what % you think are going to get it correct, and then we'll know how good we are. Don't worry about mesh terms. So I'll hit submit. It'll go. If you hit the back button, everything will be pre-filled in as before. So your name, the content, the lecture, for example. So if you're going to do multiple questions for one lecture at a time, you could go in and just change the question, change the answers, everything that needs to be. That is it, except for the objectives. That link I told you about brings you here. This is that other one. You choose what lecture you're talking about, and you type in the objective here. You only have to do that once for each objective, then that objective will be available in these drop downs here. Hope that helps.